So, folks, I'm here to let you know I was on another episode of the Transatlantic Call-In Show. It's a show hosted on The Line, and it's a show for people to call in and ask about different trans topics, trans news, ask for advice, or want clarification on an issue, or even want a spicy debate. So all kinds of different people call into the show. It's really, really cool. And on this particular episode, I was co-hosting with Dr. Ben, and it was an absolute delight. And I think some of the best content that I've put out there. So do check it out. You can actually find a link to the full episode down below in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this call, or you do enjoy this call rather, because I've really enjoyed all of my episodes on The Line, and I really hope you guys do too. The Line's the Transatlantic Call-In Show program is broadcast every Thursday. I'm on it, generally speaking, right now, every other Thursday, but go check it out. It's really cool. Also, a bunch of the other people who host shows over there, really cool, really interesting. You might find other programs that you really like. Go check it out. Link down below, by the way, also to the channel, The Line, as well as their Patreon and their merch store. Go support them if you can. And also, folks, like this video and comment on this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Go do those things. And also, since there's a link to the original episode down below, consider also leaving a like and a comment and a subscribe over there, because we want this to benefit both programs. So go do the things. Tune in live. I hope you enjoy this call. Let's see what we got.
We got a spicy one right now, so we're going to talk with Curtis, him from Canada. Curtis, you are live on the line with Dr. Ben and Riverboat Jack. What would you like to talk about today?
Howdy.
Well, I started off as a Democrat. I voted for Obama. I voted for Clinton. I actually even voted for Kamala Harris. But okay. I didn't necessarily agree with her positions on trans rights and trans issues. So now I've kind of moved more towards independent. I have a lot of issues with a lot of positions on trans ideology, trans positions. I'll start off with spaces. I seen today there was a Senate bill hearing in New Hampshire, Senate Bill 552, and a trans woman had testified in front of the Senate. I believe it was state level, and I'll read the message that they gave, and I guess we could start from there, right? It says, the trans woman said, if you are a woman with a vulva and you are uncomfortable seeing a woman with a penis, too bad, you have to get over it. Now, I heard that with my wife this morning, and she was even offended, and she's kind of like in the middle. So we could start from there. I have a lot of issues with that approach. Not only that approach, but just the whole concept of, biological males are in women's spaces, and basically it's not like this was something that was negotiated. This was kind of like pushed on society. So I want to hear what your views are on
Curtis,
that. And what you have.
I have a question for you.
Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
Well, I have a question. Yeah, what do you think goes on in those women's spaces, like in a locker room? Like if you were to walk into there's an ambulance.
Are you okay, Curtis?
I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm closing the window right now. I have nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but if you were to walk into a women's locker room, do you know what people might be doing in there?
Women are usually undressing or dressing, or sometimes they're in front of the mirror, using the shower or using the bathroom facilities.
Yeah, so like a lot of times, and this is my own personal experience because I was assigned female at birth. I've spent a lot of time in women's locker rooms. A a lot of people are very private when they're in spaces like that. I'm not saying that everybody is, but
Yeah.
I want to my
Definitely not.
question is, how likely is it
Yeah.
for somebody who is a trans woman to be out there like in the middle of the locker room completely naked, showing everything off to people? Like, do you think that that is a realistic,
That's
common situation that's
yes, it
happening in
is.
women's locker rooms?
Okay, that's the problem because I'm someone that actually, before I decided to kind of navigate away from the Democratic Party and go more independent, I did a lot of research. So I know you could maybe, with a lot of people, you could kind of give these examples, but I actually am very learned about these examples. There is hundreds of incidences of trans women inside of change rooms, and they've exposed their penis. They've had
Okay,
hard-ons.
name one.
They've been in their
Name one.
underwear. There's a lot. This is not
Curtis.
like this is a
Yeah,
small
okay.
incident that happens once in
No,
a while.
so Curtis, give me one example of a case where that happened. Like, give me the details, because it sounds like you're claiming that there are a bunch of these examples that have happened. So I'd like you to
Yeah.
give me an example.
Okay. How about I'll give you one right now. Hold on. I'll actually pull it up and because it was widely reported. Okay. Here's one. This is in Britain, and this is with Anne Combs. She was 65, and she was walking through the different change rooms, where there were not only women that were unchanging, but there also were little girls that were unchanging as well. And there was a complaint about that, and that had happened at the I guess the place is called British Swimming. I have another one that I'll give you that's more so local, U.S.
What's the source of that story?
Go ahead.
Where did you find that story from?
Well, this one I'll give you is from Daily Mail, but it's not necessary just to go through the Daily Mail, because I actually like to use more broadly.
Yeah, because the Daily Mail has a lot of
examples
bias in their articles and intentionally inflammatory headlines. So,
okay. Go ahead. The only reason I say that is
it's important. I want to know like the sources you're getting things from, and I want to.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to know that these. Well, I want to know that these stories are verified, that they happened the way that you're saying they did. So, like, especially if you have, let's say, if you have a court case of something where, you know, this happened and people complain about it, or there's litigation happening where people, like, we could actually,
I got one.
like, more easily verify the things that happened, because
sure.
I quite frankly,
yeah,
I don't really buy that this type of thing is happening as frequently as you're saying it's happening.
Also,
okay,
in this
enough.
particular case, what are you alleging that the trans woman did?
Well, if she went inside of, this trans woman went inside of a change room where there is young girls that are undressing and they are a biological male, that would be a violation of privacy. I think that's also not only very inappropriate, but I honestly, it's
wait. Do you think that it's a violation of privacy? Do you think it's a violation of privacy for other adult women to walk through a changing room where other people are changing?
If they share the same anatomy, no, it isn't.
Why? Like, is there
Because,
something about your genitals that? Is there something about your specific genitals that make it creepy for you to like take your child into a changing room so they can go swimming?
Well, that's the whole thing. You know, when we're children, whether they're little girls, when they're raised up, they're actually raised up around other females of the same anatomy, and they're actually they are exposed to.
So
nudity.
that's
like, for
so
instance,
Curtis. So that is a cultural norm. That is Curtis. That is a Western cultural norm. That's a Western cultural norm. There are people. There are actually a lot. There are a lot of cultures that don't raise children up like that, and actually, there are a lot of cultures that don't even wear full clothing, as we would define it in like more of the West. So a lot of that actually is related to how you raise your children, and not about whether or not children should or should not be around people of differing anatomy. You're not making a case for why they shouldn't be exposed to other types of anatomy at all.
I also just want to note that you've changed the argument. Curtis, you've changed your argument.
Absolutely.
Because you started from a place of, well, women need to get used to seeing women with penises. Women with vaginas need to get used to seeing women with penises. And you started with this idea that, well, the trans women are going into locker rooms and showing their penises off to everybody. And the case that you're talking about, a trans woman walked through a locker room and then later returned to use the bathroom. This is not a case. I'm looking at the Daily Mail article. This is not a case where this trans woman was stripped naked in front of everybody else. See, now you're talking about a different situation. You're talking about a different situation, and now you're just like, well, if somebody with eyes is in a changing room and other people are getting changed, if their genitals make them creepy by default somehow. Like, do you think you're a threat to children?
I'm sorry?
Do you think you are a threat to children because of your genitals, Curtis?
Do I think I'm a threat to children because of my genitals? I think
because that's what you are alleging here.
I think children, particularly girls, I think they shouldn't
You're
be
a threat to them?
Especially we're talking about. I'm sorry.
You're a threat to them because of your genitals.
Genitals is a big issue, absolutely.
So you're fully owning the position that you are a threat to children, Curtis. That's you. That's on you, man.
Yes. No, it's not, actually, that's not
you're
on
calling
me,
in and telling us that you are an inherent threat to children, Curtis.
Let me know when I can speak. Because you're going to cut me off.
Okay, I just want to be very clear. I'm letting you know when you can speak. I will let you know when you can speak. You are telling us right now that because of your genitals, you are an inherent threat to children. And you're saying, well, you know, that's actually true. Do you understand how creepy that makes you seem? How, like, honestly, kind of bigoted towards other men that makes you? Right? Like, you're sitting here saying men are inherent threats to children. Because, and I'm going to kind of read between the lines here, you think that men are inherently attracted to children. You can respond by all means, but that's what you're telling us.
Let me know when I don't want to cut you off. I want you. It's your platform. I want to respect when you're speaking. So you let me know when I got the platform to speak and explain myself.
Go for
it. Am I good to speak? Okay. So what I was very clear about is that I said private spaces. When we're talking about change rooms, we're talking about some places where they have showers, locker rooms, etc. That was just I just gave that one instance because again I was just quickly looking through it. I have another one I could have actually showed you about the penis, but let's stick to what you said about what's very clear is that when you go to any different country, you'll find that males, biological males, men, are responsible for anywhere between 90 to 96% of all sexual assault and sex crimes.
So you are admitting that this is a problem with cis men.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cis men are not trans women.
No,
so don't.
Well, that's the whole thing. But also,
Curtis.
Cis men. Go ahead.
But also,
go ahead.
Curtis. We were talking about private spaces. What about the private spaces of your own home? Should a dad and a daughter not be allowed to be at home in that space because it's a private space? Or does this only apply to locker rooms? Like, what are we defining as a private space? What are we allowing? Who are we allowing to be in spaces together? It sounds like Jack was absolutely correct.
Well, we're talking
in that
about
you are suggesting that cis men are a problem around children. And that's not saying anything about trans women. That's an admission. That's an admission of you and your demographic.
No, it's actually.
So don't blame this other demographic or something that
I guess
yours is doing.
I guess the difference is I don't separate I don't separate because a man wears a different, let's just say, a gender expression. If someone decides to wear feminine clothes, if someone decides to wear male clothes, and someone makes a declaration and says I'm this, and someone says I'm a declaration,
So
I'm
Curtis,
that,
Curtis, so do you think that behavior is based on what's in your pants?
Well, sex crimes are not always associated with.
So do you think that? Do you think, Curtis? Do you think that it is a biological feature? Do you think that those crimes are biologically inherent to people with penises? Do you think that having a penis makes you want to commit those crimes, or is that a factor that is completely different, or is that a behavioral thing?
I think you're doing correlation doesn't always amount to causation.
Nope, that's not at all. No, Curtis, you are the one. Curtis, I'm going to mute you. I'm muting you because I'm going to speak. I'm muting you because you are the one connecting anatomy and sex crime. We are not doing that. Sex crimes are behaviors that are unacceptable, but they are in no way inherent to people because of their anatomy. Anatomy does not commit sex crimes. People commit sex crimes. Okay?
I would just like to note, Curtis, that your argument that you are using right now, that like men are threats to children because they have penises, generally speaking.
That's the statement that you keep on repeating. I actually never said that statement, but you keep on repeating that statement.
Okay. So I want to be clear, right? Because you think trans women are men, right?
They're biological males, yes.
Yeah, and so you think that like a biological male
I don't think they are, but go ahead.
No, but you think that a biological male going through like a changing room is a threat to children?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
It's a threat to women and children, both, actually.
Do you think that a biological male going through the men's changing room is a threat to children?
Okay. I don't know. Like I mentioned to you already, every single country, no matter what, you can name any country in the world. And if you
it's a simple question, Curtis. Do you think a biological man going through a men's changing room is a threat to children?
Is a biological male going through a male what? You saying a changing room?
A men's changing room? Because there are children in that changing room too. Are biological males a threat to children in the men's changing room, Curtis?
The situation is that I have a very issue with is, are all men?
I want a yes or no, man.
All men are.
I just want a yes or no. It's a pretty simple question.
That's a broad question. You're saying is every single man?
You have a very definitive answer for it when it's a women's changing room. What about a men's changing room?
Of course. Because women are 96%, 99% of the people that are victims of sex crimes. It's not men.
So Curtis, here's an interesting thing that you're doing with your argument.
So women are the more more vulnerable people in society that are subjected
there's a very interesting thing that you're doing with your argument here. Here's something that you're doing with your argument that I don't know if you know you're doing. Right. So you're citing for the rate of sex crimes committed by men and having the victim of women, you're citing a statistic of 90-something%, which, I mean, I could go on the argument and ask where you got those numbers, but I don't really care. That's not super important. But you're going with statistics for men like sexually abusing women, but then you are just assuming that trans women have those same statistics. Do you have statistics on sex crime rates where trans women are the perpetrator?
Do I have it?
Yeah, do you have those statistics? Because you're making the comparison. You are including them in the statistics of that 90-something% that you said for men. So can you demonstrate that they should be in that same category of those statistics?
Sure. and I'll read one out to you. Hold on a second here. Polls. Okay. All right.
So you didn't have those statistics
Canada,
ahead of time.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Curtis, you made your assumption in your head. You made the idea of these are the statistics I wanted to be true when I asked, because you didn't have those stats when I asked you the question. So you go to Google, and now you're sifting through Google for the answer that you want with your statistics.
I actually have it on my phone, but I don't want to misquote it, right? I don't want to misquote it. It says 82% of gender diverse offenders with sexual offense histories were trans women, and the remaining 17% were in the other group. So in Canada, the trans women
but that's Curtis. That's not saying what you think it is. Even if that statistic is true, that is not saying what you say it is, because you're already starting from a default position that they were gender diverse and that they were sexual perpetrators. So if you take that, you have to find a statistic from the entire population and how many of those people are perpetrators who are trans people, and specifically trans women. But also, if you look at, in general, the entire population of sexual perpetrators, how many of those are trans women? Not what percentage of those that are already gender diverse. Right, because you can see where the inflation is in that number when your sample is only including gender diverse individuals.
Also, I also just want to point out to you, Curtis.
I can't speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can't speak right now because I'm trying to also tell you something that's very important, right?
Okay, he's muted.
Which is that you are very protective of young girls, and I think that's good. I think young girls should be protected. But at the same time, when I ask you a question that's very straightforward, and because you are saying biological males going through the women's changing room, that's an inherent threat to the children in that changing room. But when I ask you, is a biological male going through the men's changing room a threat to the children in that, you go, well, no, there are different societies, blah, 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 blah. And I just want you to know, right? This is data coming from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. This is from 2025. Their researchers found that around 72% of males reported first being sexually abused during their childhood. Of like sexual assault survivors. And so the total number of young boys who are sexually assaulted is 1 in 6, generally speaking. And that might be an undercount because men tend to underreport their sexual assaults. And you're saying to me, like, well, obviously a biological male is a threat to young girls, but not a threat to young boys. Like I'd have to sit down and think about that. But like, you don't seem to think that men can abuse men. You don't seem to think that like that happens, or at the very least, it happens in any way that you need to legislate around, when the statistics you're citing are about the threats posed by cis men. The threats posed by people like you. And so the frustrating thing here is that you are then trying to say, well, these stats that show that I am a threat to children, generally speaking, statistically speaking, well, they actually show that trans women are a threat to children, when trans women are far more likely to be the victims of sexual assault from people like you, Curtis. So when you are citing these statistics and you're saying, well, we need legislation to keep these spaces private, you have different sets of standards that you are applying that you would never apply to cis men. And it's because you just reject the idea that there could be like people different than you. And it's weird. And everyone can see that it's weird, Curtis. So you can respond to this, but like, I have a very low tolerance for people who downplay like the sexual assault and danger to children. And right now, what you are doing is using that to try and justify your bigotry towards a group of people that isn't even responsible for the statistics you are citing. It's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like to go back to my point, and to further expand on it, the fact that you were citing a study that only included convicted sex offenders, which, like, sure, that 80% number sounds like a lot, but if we had an actual statistic, like, let's just hypothetically say that the amount of gender diverse sex offenders was, I don't know, 2%, just assign a number of 2%. You'd have to take that 80% would be of the 2% of the full population of convicted sex offenders. And that, so that actual number, the actual percentage is really, really small. So it's important to understand statistics and to know that 80% of a very, very small percentage is a very small percentage and not 80% of the whole population. So I'm going to unmute you, and you can try to respond to what we just said.
Yeah.
All right.
So the thing for me, and where my stance is that because I really didn't want to get into about percentages and try to, put the narrative like, oh, you're blanketing
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
every
make it
single
look very
person
good.
or every single trans woman or is that. Can I want to get my point in. So the point for me, and I was very clear about it, is that it's not about, as you would call, cis, which I totally reject that concept of cis, but because I was never grown up as a cis.
Oh, are you
male
trans?
or a cis man? No, I'm just a man. There was.
But you reject
in
the
school
idea of
and
cis people
college,
existing.
university. I was
So you're trans?
I was never called a cis, and men were never referred to as cis when I went to school. Never.
Yeah, because language
So,
changes.
anyways, that's a whole.
You're outdated.
That's a whole other conversation, which I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. To be perfectly honest, what's very clear is that you don't need to have 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 women sexually assaulted by a trans woman, and then you're going to say, well, there's still, as you would say, other men, they still do millions of sexual assault. No, the issue is, it's not about how many, because obviously the population is much more bigger amongst men compared to trans women. The point is, trans women have the exact same potential as any man to commit sex
Curtis,
crimes. They're no
I care more about than
they have the
okay. I'm muting you, and actually, I'm gonna drop you because this is ending up being a waste of time. But Curtis, you know what actually means more than all the, because your argument is based on vibes and your own assumptions, your own feeling of ickiness about trans women. But all of the numbers you pulled out of your ass. So you know what I do value? I value stats that are real, and I don't really like statistics that you made up, or this very, very high number that you made up and that you can't demonstrate is actually a problem with trans people. And so maybe instead of making your points, making up big numbers to prove your point, understand that those numbers actually have to come from somewhere and actually have to mean something in order for us to do anything about it. So maybe next time show up with some data instead of just arguing that trans people are icky.
It's also worth noting. Oops, sorry, I have the wrong audio on. I don't want to get confused here. It's also worth noting that the study that he cited, not only were the only participants already sex offenders, so it's a completely diluted pool. It tells you nothing about the rate at which trans people are actual sex offenders. But the study that he cited even said itself that 94% of the committed offenses were done while those people were living as their biological sex. So even by his own argument, trans women who have transitioned and are out and about in society are not the ones to fear. It's the people who are pre-transition, who currently look like fucking men, who live their lives as men, who are the one to fear. So even by his own study that he cited, trans women, like, it's just dumb all the way down. He makes me want to say words that'll get me in trouble.
Well, that was that call.
That was bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how someone is trying to make this argument and just not really engaging with the fact that they're calling in and saying with their entire chest that they should be regarded as a threat to children. Like it's really weird to me. And like he's like, well, I never said those words, and it's just like, well, yeah, but that's your argument. Your argument is that the presence of like a biological male in the women's changing room is an inherent threat to children.
Yeah.
And it's just
Wild.
absolutely wild. And not to mention the fact that like we're talking about private spaces. Like your private space is your home, you know, like
Right.
A changing room where you can walk through it and see other people changing their clothes is not a private space. Like that's a public space. Actually, it is. If someone could just walk through it, it's not actually private.
Right, and the fact that if we're talking sexual assault statistics, people, like especially young people, are more likely to be abused in their own home than in one of those changing rooms. So
I mean, according to Curtis, like single dads shouldn't be allowed to exist because
Yeah.
they are a threat to their own kids.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you start getting into statistics, which I understand why he wouldn't want to do that, considering they make him look terrible. And
Mhm.
also, he wouldn't want to get into a semantic argument. I have an English degree. Like it's not a good idea, Curtis, to make your arguments when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whew. That was a call. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it was cathartic. I hope it was interesting. And also, I hope you leave a comment letting us know what you thought about it down below. You can also leave a comment over on the original episode, of course. Link down below on that one as well. Go subscribe to The Line. Link below. Go check out their Patreon. Link below. Go check out their merch store. Link below. It's amazing all the different things you can link down there. Who knew? Anyway, do all the things, click all the buttons, leave all the comments. You know the drill by now, and do call in if you have a burning question about trans people. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. It's gender euphoric lingerie designed with trans femmes in mind. It's a really, really cool new brand. Go check them out. ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down below in the description to that as well. It is non-tucking lingerie that is elegant, that is high quality, that is beautiful, and it will fit. So go check it out. Again, link down below in the description. And also go check out Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben's content is great. Go check him out. Go do the things. I believe in you guys. And on that note, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.